Today's presentation is road temperature monitoring with the NearSky platform. And we are going to talk about a few different things. My name is John Joseph. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at CIMCON Lighting, and I'm here with Vlad. Vlad, you want to introduce yourself?
Vlad Leftimov, Product Manager here for the NearSky platform at CIMCON Lighting.
Very good. So today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about why you might want to use road temperature monitoring, how it's kind of fitting into the smart city landscape. And then we will take you through a brief overview of the NearSky platform. Probably a number of you are already familiar with the platform. So, but we want to make sure that everybody has a good understanding of how that platform can enable this kind of solution. Then we'll talk about the road temperature solution that we do have available today with NearSky, and we'll show you a little bit about how that works. And like I said, then we'll come back at the end and take as many questions as there are in the audience. So a couple of background points first. One of the things that we are using the road temperature monitoring for is cold weather monitoring. And that's probably where people think about it first, but we will come after this to talk about some warm weather conditions as well. Certainly in colder parts of the world, icy roads is a major concern, and so road temperature monitoring will give some intelligence about when to salt the roads, treat the roads, what the conditions are out there. It really digitizes that instead of just sending out crews to treat the roads, when sort of on the spur of the moment or based on looking up in the sky. This gives you a much more detailed reading of when treatment might be needed. And it's an important factor to improve city operations. First and foremost, safety is the main reason why you would probably want to engage in this kind of measuring technology. So we have a couple of statistics here from the United States. Annually, there's 537,000 accidents that involve icy roads or snowy conditions. That leads to 136,000 injuries and more than 1,800 deaths each year. So significant costs in terms of not just life, but police activity, healthcare costs, et cetera, that if not done properly, can put the community at risk. In addition to that, the costs of treating roads can be quite significant. So there are accumulated costs of treating roads is $2.3 billion again in the United States. This is something that obviously has to be done to maintain the safety, but it's really a question of whether those costs are incurred when you need them and to provide the most safe roads possible for the least amount of cost. Economically, there's also a cost to maybe improper or inefficient road treatment. So if if the roads are not treated and the city has to shut down, that can have a significant cost, $300 to $700 million to a city if it does have to shut down or slow down operations because of unpassable roads. And that's just for a day. And then also another reason for cold weather monitoring, where you're putting stuff down on the roads, is that it can have an effect on the quality of the groundwater. So most 60 to 90% of the salt that's found in the groundwater is attributed to road salt that's put down on the roads. And so, of course, all of these things factored together mean that the more intelligent we can be about when to treat the roads, how to treat the roads, how much treatment is necessary, and where specifically it's needed, we can have a dramatic impact on the safety, the cost of the city, and the environment. Outside of the cold weather, we think about warm weather monitoring. So the heat island effect is a serious effect, especially in downtown urban districts where there might be a lack of trees or vegetation, that the road surface can be trapping a lot of heat and giving that off even at night. And so if you're not familiar with this, the temperature difference can be quite significant. So 50 to 90 degree difference between the temperature of the pavement versus the temperature of the air. And what's shown here on the bottom left is a heat map. This is actually taken from a NASA satellite system with very sophisticated temperature reading technology. And it shows that in certain areas might be much hotter because of the landscape characteristics. One of the ways that you can mitigate this effect is to have trees and plantings on roofs, and just consider having a little bit more natural environment, or adding back a little bit more natural environment to those urban areas. So, being able to measure the temperature of the road even during the warmer months, not icy months, can have a significant benefit if you can take that data, find the areas where this heat island effect is most significant, and use that to make changes to the landscape. And this, as you can imagine, often has a more dramatic impact on obviously downtown urban citizens. It could be typically some of the more underserved parts of the population that this can affect. So that's a little bit of background on why the temperature monitoring of roadways could be significant and important to you. We're going to talk a little bit about the NearSky platform, which is a foundation for building any kind of smart city solution, including this road temperature monitoring solution that we're going to talk about today. Maybe some of you have heard this before, but I just want to cover it. The NearSky works in conjunction with our lighting controllers. So what we do is take the lighting infrastructure that's spread across the city, and we, basically that creates a communication network or a digital canopy that spans the entire city. And from there, because of the resolution, if you will, that the streetlight infrastructure provides, we can deploy a sensor, a camera, all different kinds of sensors and cameras on any one of those poles or across the city itself. So it can give you citywide coverage or really specific coverage of a particular corner or a particular house or a particular intersection that might be of interest to you. And that can include air quality sensors. It can include even surveillance cameras with video analytics. It can include this temperature sensing, audio detection, people counting, vehicle counting, whatever you need can really be deployed using the NearSky device and taking advantage of this digital canopy. And obviously the value of having these sensors is the impact that it can have on city services. Number one, improving the quality of life for all the city residents, but also improving the efficiency of city services and their delivery, including some of the public safety things we mentioned earlier, helping the environment, and enabling you to provide more information to citizens and get better citizen engagement, so the health and awareness of the citizens can be increased as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Vlad, who's going to take us through some of the NearSky platform itself, and then talk about the road temperature solution in particular.
Thank you, John. Hi, everyone. So what we have here on the slide is on the left. This depicts our NearSky platform, and in the top left here is our NearSky edge processor device. We're very brief, as John mentioned. You may have seen this before. So NearSky edge processor is a rugged outdoor computer that mounts easily on a luminaire of a light, on a light pole, street light, and it borrows power from the light, as well as has the ability to send data through our NearSky Street Vibe cloud-based platform. What type of data it sends? It sends typically the data it aggregates from a variety of sensors that can be connected to it. CIMCON is in the space of being a platform solution for smart cities, and we partner with a variety of sensor manufacturers and city integrators. And for that purpose, we provide a developer kit and an ecosystem for deploying and certifying end-to-end solutions with sensors. Focus of today is the road watch sensor. You can see it on the right. It is connected. It's mounted on a street on a pole. What depicts a street light here, and it's connected to the NearSky 360 device on the serial or 14-pin multi-port that it provides both analog and digital connection. In this scenario, it's utilizing a serial connection for data, and it is powering the road watch sensor through the same connection. What is road watch? It is a passive infrared temperature indicating system. It uses infrared technology to determine the road surface temperature without physical contact with the surface. And of course, it also measures the air ambient temperature as well. Okay, so moving on, just briefly, we already talked about that street level resolution. Street lights and light poles are very suitable place to mount these sensors, mostly due to the ability to monitor roadwalks and streets, and those are the areas that are typically of interest for city services. Our device is a multi-sensor, so you can plug a variety of sensors and you use the data and combine the data from all those. Our devices are network agnostic, meaning that you can leverage a variety of connectivity networks such as mesh networks, LTE connectivity, or if you already the city has invested in fiber or Ethernet connectivity to the pole, that can be used as well. Our device powers the sensors. And what is quite interesting is we have ability to do processing at the device, combining data and creating end-to-end solutions with multiple sensors. We provide the data we collect to downstream systems for application developers. And we also have a standard platform where you can visualize and explore and further analyze the data you've collected for the sensors. The deployment is fairly plug and play. Essentially, you plug the NS360 device, you twist it on the street light, and you can connect the sensor to it. And a real quick view at the data flow. On the left here, you see a street light, and typically you have a device mounted on the street pole. Our NS360 device is on top. It collects the data from the sensor. It may do further manipulation and edge processing, and then pushes that data over a mesh network or LTE network over the internet to our NearSky platform, where we have standard ways of dashboarding and visualizations, and we also provide that data over RESTful APIs for downstream systems, both historical data as well as near real-time data. So moving on, we have here, what a road watch sensor looks like when installed on a pole. It's a fairly compact device. You mount it on the pole, pointing at the road surface area of interest, typically a sidewalk or a street. It's a non-invasive method. You don't have to embed anything in the road surface, and it measures the road surface and the air, ambient air, in a continuous fashion. So for practical, it's configurable, but it can go up to every quarter of a second. So how is the NearSky platform augmenting the capability of the sensor device? Well, for one, the device measures the temperature and point in time, but we are collecting and aggregating all the data, all the historical data, and all the measurements from multiple sensors that can be deployed around the city. Provide a full picture and full visibility of what are the heat patterns across the city. The data is then available for other systems for integration as well. We are able to also augment or enrich the data from the temperature sensor using complementing solutions. So the fact that the road watch sensor is deployed on a 360 device, we already can leverage the location data coming from the NS360, NearSky 360 device. And also in the icy road use cases, it may make good sense to deploy the road watch sensor alongside our air quality solution that, in addition to the road surface temperature, would provide information for relative humidity and dew point. We mentioned reports and visualizations, so we're collecting the data, but it's also you can slice and dice it and look for trends as well as configure thresholds, and set up notifications for times when the road surface temperature would be below 35 Fahrenheit, which is typically conditions for ice formation. You could monitor for heat wave conditions, specific heat islands in the city or in the town, and also in our countries close to the equator. Usually it's a problem with the road surface melting or getting to a point where the asphalt is softening. So this is something you could watch for as well. At the end of the day, the NearSky gives you a platform for creating solutions end-to-end, and one such will be deploying a road watch sensor monitoring a risky section of a road, such as a overpass or a top of a hill where the likelihood of black ice formation is high. And when such conditions are detected, drivers can be alerted via digital sign for caution, and road maintenance crews can be also notified for those conditions, so the treatment can be prioritized comparing to other areas. So with our StreetVibe platform, the end user would typically get a map, a view where with the distribution of the road sensors and NearSky devices are deployed, and then they can zoom in further to a specific sensor or correlate different sensor information. Now, looking at a small snippet of a road watch data, if we take the freezing temperature for a threshold value, it can be, we can predict that around this section here, we have conditions for black ice formation. This typically happens when the air temperature warms up much faster than the road temperature, typically in the morning or around. And it creates conditions where the water vapor in the air may condensate on the road surface and create a hazardous situation. So this can be monitored for, and it can be predicted, and you could be deploying road watch sensors in the risky parts of town. There are other factors that play into ice formation, such as humidity and dew point, and for more accurate prediction, it might be handy to deploy one of our other sensor solutions in the same area. With the solution, you'll be getting a continuous read over time, and you be able to correlate different locations in town, as well as readings from different sensors. For instance, you may be watching for a heat wave in town, and you can monitoring the aggregation of people, or counting of pedestrians for a specific area in town, and relating it to the conditions and the air temperatures, or also surface temperatures in the area. So how we're using the data? The data can be used to alert people. It can be used to alert systems, and it can be used to for drawing conclusions correlated with other sensors. Typically, the goal is in the icy conditions. In the icy conditions, typically goal is around saving on labor and costs for treating roads, prioritizing the plow routes, and also adjusting the winter mix. For really cold climates, you might use different type of salts if you're getting below 15 Fahrenheit. Ultimately, the goal is public safety, so saving lives and reducing accidents. But not only human life, it also affects biodiversity in the area. The salt runoff from the roads has been linked to salinity in the water supply and all the drinking water as well, affecting the biodiversity, as well as recently a study found that about 30% of our drinking water has a salinity level too high, and it's linked to treatments of roads. Salt is also very corrosive and affects negatively the infrastructure. And being equipped with the data, you can better plan against heat islands in dense, concrete heavy cities. The main advantages of the NearSky for monitoring road temperature will be the infrastructure. Really, it's already there. It's very easy to tap into. It's very easy to install and move it. If the city hasn't invested, doesn't have the opportunity to invest in high number of monitoring sensors, the solution is quite portable. You can untwist it from one street pole and connect to another fairly easily. We provide downstream integration with open APIs, so application developers can tap into data, and the city can choose to expose that data for others to build intelligent solutions with. And at the end of the day, you get the platform benefit of deploying a variety of sensors and correlating everything you capture from them, making your city smart and decision making smart as well.
All right. So thanks, Vlad, for taking us through that. So that's a good overview of the solution and the platform. We have a few minutes to take some questions. I know we have a few in the queue, but if you still have any questions, please enter them. And we will jump in right now to take a few of those. So first question, do all the sensors have to be hardwired to the street light? If not, what wireless frequencies can connect? Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, LoRaWAN, Wi-SUN, 4G LTE, NB IoT, Cat M1, 5G.
So this specific sensor, we have built our solution end-to-end with our partners. Is actually a wired sensor, and it utilizes RS-485 serial communication, and it gets DC power from the NearSky platform. So we do support all these communication platforms, but from the NS360 device onwards, not from the sensor itself.
Yeah, but I think the key, what's being asked here too is, one of the values of the NearSky platform is that it eliminates a lot of messy wiring. So there's a wire coming out of the sensor, but it just simply plugs into the NearSky device. And then NearSky and the lighting controller can communicate through many, if not all of these channels to bring the data back to the cloud so that there isn't any real hard wiring that's going on in terms of splicing into power supplies and stuff like that. So
yeah, it also lowers the cost of deployment. The splicing is fairly trivial, but it also requires a specialized skill set. And in this scenario, you can literally remove the controller that's already on the light, be it a simple photocell or competitor lighting controller, and twist the NearSky, leave it and put the controller that was already there on top of the NearSky and to act as a pass-through, but you'll be tapping into the power that's available in the light.
Yeah. Another question, can NearSky show data location on a map with satellite imaging in real time? So can you see the road temperature at different sensor points on a map? Is sort of the nature.
Yeah, you can. We have a standard visualization that gives you a map, and every NS360 device is fitted with NearSky's 360 device is fitted with an onboard GPS. So we have the lat and log of the deployment, and should that move to, let's say, decide to move it to a different corner of the city or a different street light, it will update those coordinates in the system. As far as plotting against a satellite image map, you can plot those lats and logs on any type of map.
Okay, and I think we're running out of time, but let's get in one more. There's a few questions here around the mounting and the location. Just quickly, can it be, how high can it be mounted? How important is the placement? Can it be mounted, for instance, on a street light arm instead of the pole?
Yeah, right. So because it's a infrared-based technology, it works based on the reflection of the heat energy or signature of the surface. So you'd want to keep the device relatively vertical and no more than 10-15 degrees angle to the surface. As far as height, we have successfully tested without deviation of the readings to about 25 feet, and it will probably look at about you'll be looking at about a foot wide or in diameter spot on the surface, when mounted that high. As far as mounting on an arm, in fact, it may be a more suitable location, because if you're looking at the road surface, that will get you more towards the center of the road, presuming the pole is on the sidewalk.
Okay, and one word on pricing. So you have a ballpark price for if you already have lighting controllers, for instance, and gateways. Do you have a ballpark price, or should we direct them to the sales team for that kind of question?
Yeah, we'll get you a personalized response through one of our salesmen and sales ladies. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that does it for today then. Thank you, Vlad, for all the great information, and thank you everyone for attending. If you do have additional questions, please just write out through email after the webinar. You can contact either one of us at the email address shown there. If you're interested in doing a pilot, you can also reach out to us, or you can just register for a Smart City pilot at our website, and we'd be happy to talk about how this solution and others can work to improve your city safety and operations. And also, we invite you to keep track of what's taking place on the website in terms of upcoming webinars. We have a pretty rich agenda coming up for the next couple of months, so please go to our website and see all the available presentations up there, either upcoming ones and on-demand ones as well. And thank you very much for attending again.
Thanks for tuning in.